Las Vegas, Nevada, the city of lights and the entertainment capital of the world. 10 teams coming to the city courting more than just lady luck. They are looking for something precious, looking forward to next summer. Tonight, the United States taking on Venezuela in the nightcap. It'll be the 4th game of the evening. 10 teams in all, playing over 40 games over the next couple of weeks. At stake, 2 spots in the upcoming Olympic Games. I'm Mark Jones along with Bill Walton. It's the Tournament of the Americas and Team USA with 2 notable additions to the roster in the backcourt, Bill.
The backcourt has been completely revamped. Kobe Bryant, 29 years of age, just now playing for the first time for his country, the United States. Now, the sense of Kobe Bryant's competitive greatness has been on full display, getting ready for this fabulous tournament here. He has been the driving force. His backcourt mate, Jason Kidd, who is undefeated lifetime as a senior men competitor. This guy has changed everything. They've been calling him the motor there. His quiet professionalism has really set the tone. And having never lost an international competition as a senior men competitor, he is not about to let that record start getting blemished.
And that backcourt of Team USA much bigger, per se, than they were a season ago in the World Championships. Let's take a look at our starting lineups presented by State Farm. Kidd, Bryant, LeBron James, and Carmelo up front. And Dwight Howard getting the nod in the middle to start over Amari Stoudemire. Meanwhile, for Venezuela, one of the key players to watch, keep an eye on Hector Romero in the front court for the Venezuelan squad, wearing number 12 tonight, a 6'8" forward, 27 years old.
A very fast Venezuela team. This is a squad that's going to have to do something to make up for the lack of size, and they're not the best outside shooting team. The United States should be able to get a lot of lob opportunities and dominate the offensive board as Krzyzewski gives them their last-minute instructions.
6-time that Mike Krzyzewski, the head coach at Duke University, in his other job, has participated as the coach in the USA Senior Men's National Team program, and he was very tight-lipped and reticent to mention who his starters might be coming into this tournament, but he feels that this is an extremely deep roster with a lot of versatility, that being one of its strengths, Bill.
Mark, they're going to need every bit of that. This is a remarkably challenging tournament. They have to play 10 games in the next 12 days to get to the finals. So it's going to be very, very difficult. The other teams in the tournament do not have the depth. They do not have the athleticism, and they certainly don't have the individual stars. But with LeBron James making another appearance for the United States, he's got his work cut out for him, but now he has Kobe Bryant to help him.
And you see Kobe Bryant there, the Kobe Bryant 2.0 edition, the slimmed down version of Kobe Bryant, dropped some 18 pounds since the end of the season. Going on a special diet and getting ready for this Tournament of America's competition. There's a look at the star backcourt. Quasar from the Los Angeles Lakers in his 11th season and a day away from his 29th birthday. And he gave a glimpse of what is to come, perhaps, in a scrimmage they had a little bit earlier. Bill hit the game-winning jump shot for his blue team in an inter-squad scrimmage. And LeBron James with 2 bronze medals to his credit in Team USA Senior Men's National Team play.
And a new basketball with the different panels, with the colors, that will certainly have an impact. And Dwight Howard, the dynamic force for the Orlando Magic. Stan Van Gundy and their new head coach, and Rashard Lewis coming down for Orlando. That will certainly be a team that we'll be keeping our eye on this upcoming season.
And we are set for the opening tip. And we are underway in Las Vegas. United States opening up, Bill, in a man-to-man defense.
You're allowed to play zone in international competition. Dwight Howard just so big on those defensive rebound opportunities, but bobbling the ball. Venezuela ball. Late arriving crowd here in Las Vegas tonight.
Vargas with the miss for the Venezuelan team. Vargas, one of the team's top snipers.
Sadly for Venezuela, Oscar Torres, their legendary player, the greatest player in the history of Venezuela basketball, will not be in this tournament, out still for a long time now with the sore right knee.
Shot clock winding down. Jump shot comes up a little bit short. Carmelo Anthony with the rebound. And the United States will look to run. And the playbook, the scouting report on Team USA in previous seasons has been pack it in, play zone. Well, that's something they've tried to remedy during their training camp. Here's Bryant with the fadeaway on the baseline. Coming up short, rebounded by Howard. But there's a foul underneath against Venezuela. That foul going to go against her, Beth Bayona. And there are some very marked significant differences between NBA rules and FIBA rules.
A shorter court, which will allow the big guys to get more involved. You've got a much closer three-point line. You have 4 10-minute quarters instead of the 12-minute that we're used to in the NBA. Different foul-out rules. You only get 5 fouls and you're disqualified from the game.
One more look at Dwight Howard, and surprised that goaltending wasn't called, but we talk about the differences between NBA and FIBA rules. Sometimes FIBA officiating can be quite adventurous, Bill.
And the interpretation of those rules. Often the players will not speak the same language as the officials. That's why I've been boning up on my Spanish. Mi español es muy malo.
Something's very bad. I caught the end of that. Bryant with great defense out front. Caused the turnover, but he gets called for the traveling violation. 3-0, just underway. So the basket did count by Dwight Howard on the goaltending call. He got the free throw to follow. And Bryant has told Mike Krzyzewski, said, listen, coach, I want to guard the best player offensively from every opponent we face.
And that leadership will set a great tone for the United States, because when he comes to work this hard, and he has clearly, Kobe, been the hardest working player in training camp to date.
They come up with a turnover forced by Bryant's ball pressure. Kidd inside with a sweet feed to Carmelo Anthony. And one.
Carmelo Anthony is going to play a lot of the power forward position. You got a dynamic lineup with LeBron James and Carmelo Anthony as your forwards. You got Kobe Bryant as your off-the-ball guard. And the pressure defense here by number 10, Kobe Bryant, and LeBron James out in transition. It's going to be interesting to see how Carmelo reacts in the role that he has here, because Jason Kidd, Chauncey Billups, Darren Williams, the point guards, they're going to be the ones making all the setup passes. LeBron's going to be much more of a finisher here. Look for a lot of alley-oop opportunities for LeBron.
United States leading 5-0. The jump shot a little bit long by Romero. Out of bounds. It'll be USA basketball.
Just off the mark.
That Venezuela ball.
Long. LeBron standing out of bounds on that hard-to-read rebound. Venezuela has never beaten the United States in basketball.
It's the 4th meeting all time between these two countries. They met originally, Bill, back in 1992 up in Portland, Oregon, part of the original Dream Team, and really the best team ever assembled in basketball history.
In three games that Venezuela has played against the United States, they have gone down by an average of 33 points per game.
Going to be a foul underneath that time against her Beth Bayona. Trying to guard Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard this year with the Orlando Magic averaged almost 18 points a game to go along with 12 rebounds. And for his troubles, Bayona gets a seat on the Venezuelan bench.
Venezuela means Little Venice, because when the Europeans first came to South America and they saw the natives' huts built on stilts in the giant lakes there, particularly Lake Maracaibo, which is the largest lake in all of South America, they said, this reminds us of our home back in Venice. So let's call it Venezuela.
Well, isn't that? There's a Venezuelan coach, Nestor Salazar, and Bill, thanks for the history lesson. I figured you'd give me something along those lines. I know they have a lot of oil down there that they produce, and that's a big part of their export. LeBron James at the free throw line, coming up a little bit short. And boy, how does LeBron follow up the season that he had this year, leading his Cleveland Cavaliers to the Eastern Conference Championship before losing to the San Antonio Spurs in the NBA Finals. Cleveland Cavaliers have been a little bit quiet in the offseason free agent market, and they have yet to resign a couple of their own free agents, Anderson Varejao and Sasha Pavlovich. The pass out of bounds. It'll be USA basketball.
Tremendous pressure defense by Jason Kidd, and Venezuela looks a little rattled right now. They were 0-5 in the Stankovic tournament over in China, which was their last international competition. They're a team, Venezuela, that is going with younger players, trying to move beyond the more established stars who have gotten quite a bit older here. Carmelo Anthony cannot find the range from the much shorter three-point line that the NBA players are used to.
It's going to be a jump ball tie-up. I mentioned Carmelo Anthony. He was USA Basketball's Athlete of the Year last year, leading the team in scoring at the World Championships, almost 20 points a game, and he did shoot well over 40% from three-point territory in the World Championships.
Three-point shooting has been an absolute nightmare for the United States since they last won an international competition with a horrendously hard foul by Venezuela, sending young man-child Dwight Howard to the line.
That was against Miguel Mariaga right here, mauling Dwight Howard.
Well, Mariaga is a good solid shot blocker for his size. He's 6'10", just 23 years of age. Got a nice mid-range jumper, but this guy Dwight Howard, he has every bit the potential to change the history of basketball, and now bringing in Rashard Lewis. And I think that Grant Hill moving on from Orlando, going over to Phoenix, is a great move for both parties involved.
And Bill should reap dividends next year for Orlando on the basketball court. You looked at the impressive resume of the USA men's senior national team in Tournament of America's play, undefeated coming in at 26-0. And you think about how the landscape has changed over the years in international basketball. The last time that you've really seen a USA team dominate was in the Tournament of the Americas back in 2003, when they drilled what would have been the Olympic champs from Argentina the subsequent year in 2004, beat them by 33 points in the final.
But the United States has not shot the ball well from behind the arc in the big competition. Great block by Dwight Howard, and the point guard play has not been good enough. So you bring in Jason Kidd, you bring him back really from 2000 Sydney. You bring in Chauncey Billups, who didn't play last year because he was getting married, and now you got the real deal in the backcourt at the point position for the United States.
United States pitching a shutout so far, Bill, 7-0 with 7:22 to go here in the first quarter of play. Nice pick and roll play with Dwight Howard and Kobe Bryant, and Dwight Howard very active offensively. The foul that time against Vargas, and Nestor Salazar, the head coach of Venezuela, scratching his head already looking for answers. Kobe Bryant very engaged, as you would expect, offensively.
Looks great. That lost weight has made him quicker. He just is so determined. So many problems for Kobe Bryant over the years, the injuries, the legal problems from Colorado. Now finally a chance to get on the court. But you were talking about the fact that Cleveland hasn't made any changes, but either have the Lakers, other than the guard they got from Georgia Tech in the draft, either have the Miami Heat taking the Lakers point guard, Smush Parker. So a lot of basketball fans in some major markets saying, hey, what's going on here? Where Boston is back in the mix, the great Northwest draft picks of Durant and Oden changing the face of basketball. And
it's going to be interesting to see. You mentioned the Boston Celtics, how quickly Doc Rivers can orchestrate the chemistry on that team. Dwight Howard with another free throw attempt coming up, and you saw in that last free throw attempt, Carmelo Anthony went after the ball while it was bouncing around on the rim, that time missing the tip. But that, once again, one of the significant rule differences in FIBA basketball compared to the NBA. Once it hits the rim, the ball is live.
For both teams.
Yes.
And that's one thing that the current crop of U.S. players has never been able to adjust to. Now, Bill Russell was phenomenal at it back in the 50s when he represented the United States in the 56 Melbourne games.
As we said earlier, how things have changed since that time, Bill Walton. 7-0 from Las Vegas when we come back. Back in Las Vegas, the United States leading 7-0 with 7:07 to go in the first quarter. You're looking at Venezuelan coach Nestor Salazar. And Bill, the scouting report against the United States, we've talked about it a little bit already. Defensively, most international teams pack it in against us, play a zone. Why hasn't Salazar gone that route so far?
Well, particularly since Venezuela it doesn't have the huge dynamic front court that Krzyzewski has at his disposal with Dwight Howard, Amari Stoudemire, Tyson Chandler. But Nestor Salazar, this guy's a very assertive, defensive-oriented coach. And for the most part, he wants to have his team playing man-to-man. I don't know if he's got the horses up front, though, to keep the USA as LeBron James just absolutely waltzes in for a layup. And you have to start worrying about the Venezuelan offense. We understand that they're a major energy supplier, but right now they need to find some way to ignite what energy that they have.
Kobe Bryant's defense has been nearly impenetrable, but here, one more look. Jason Kidd headmanning it up to LeBron James. We got a glimpse of that in the inter-squad scrimmage a couple of weeks ago, and you have a feeling there's going to be a lot of that happening here in the Tournament of the Americas.
They might want to think that LeBron James is right-handed and will continue to be right-handed during not only this game, but the rest of the tournament.
You think?
Yes. But one thing that Salazar, the coach for Venezuela, might be doing is start out man-to-man and lull the USA into a situation where we think we're going to play man-to-man, and then change it up, and then start packing it in. Well, then if that happens, then Krzyzewski will counter immediately with Mike Miller and Mike Red, two of the great shooters that they've added to try to remedy the woeful perimeter shooting in the recent past for the United States.
Vasquez finally puts Venezuela on the scoreboard. It's 9-1. LeBron James into Carmelo Anthony now. Anthony baseline, nice move, and he's fouled going to the bucket. He'll get a couple of free throws. The foul goes against Venezuela's Vargas.
I'm surprised by the way Venezuela has started out here, because they're out pressuring on the perimeter, and they're just allowing Carmelo and LeBron and Kobe and Jason Kidd to get to the lane. I think it's time to start packing it in as quickly Amari Stoudemire comes to the bench, and it's like he's been spending some time with Mike Tyson there.
Either that or a new earring piercing.
Oh, you
Carmelo
think
Anthony,
what that might be?
Just a guess. Just a guess. Carmelo knocks down the first one, and don't forget, coming up tomorrow night, 11 o'clock Eastern time, the U.S. Virgin Islands against the United States. The Virgin Islands playing without Tim Duncan and Raja Bell.
Raja Bell recovering from the knee surgery, and Tim Duncan is ineligible to play for the Virgin Islands because he has opted to play in years gone by for the United States. Tim representing the United States in the Athens games in '04.
Down low, and Mariaga kicks it back out. They rotated to the weak side. Nice move by Romero. And Dwight actually, Stoudemire thought you could see trying to bat it away, couldn't get up there in time, and the bucket falls. Venezuela down by 8.
Breaking the habit of always pulling your hand back, you have to change your mindset, and that's why the greatest of the champions are the smartest players. There's Michael Redd from the perimeter.
And that's why Michael Redd was added to the roster. Michael Redd, a career 40% three-point shooter, knocks it down. He and Mike Miller, two vital parts from the perimeter when you look at being able to pull teams out of zone defenses.
Michael Redd, the coaches have told us, Mark, how he has been the surprise of the camp. Just what a tremendous all-around player he is. Michael Redd from Milwaukee, but also he is far and away the team's best shooter.
That jump shot good, a three-pointer by Romero, and Romero has all of Venezuela's points so far.
Might want to think about guarding him the next time in transition. Venezuela ranked number 21 in the FIBA international rankings. USA ranked first.
Carmelo Anthony on the blow-by. Stoudemire went after it, couldn't get it. It's out of bounds. It'll be Venezuela basketball coming back the other way.
Although if I'm Spain or Argentina, I'm saying, what's up with this ranking? We beat those guys. We beat Duncan, we beat AI, we beat Carmelo, we beat everybody, and you've got the other guys ranked ahead of us. I don't understand that.
It's done on a cumulative basis, I'm told.
I think it's done on reputation.
A little bit of that in there, too. Tayshaun Prince checks into the ball game from the Detroit Pistons.
As has Chauncey Billups for Mike Krzyzewski. Jason Kidd will get a little bit of rest. Depth and rotation and utilizing the entire roster is going to be critical. 10 games in 12 days. This is like a stage race in bicycling, where you have to pick your spots when you're going to push, when you're going to just go for the kill, and you use the whole roster. There will be some games when some players don't play at all, some key players, because they'll need the rest.
And this team is a little bit older than the version from last year that completed in the World Championships. The pass off the hands of Stoudemire. It's out of bounds off of Venezuela. It'll be USA basketball. Salazar still trying to get his team in sync at the offensive end.
Stoudemire so used to getting that bounce pass, that wrapping bounce pass from Steve Nash, who is not playing for Canada in this tournament. Canada going down big time to Brazil earlier today. But Steve Nash, his NBA career really started taking off when he stopped playing for Canada, and he would just be worn out for the NBA season.
LeBron James, meanwhile, with a nice left-handed scoop shot inside. USA leading 16-5 with under 4 minutes to play here in the first quarter. It's the Tournament of the Americas. Team USA looking for one of those 2 spots for the Beijing Games, less now than a year away. LeBron James brings it up court himself.
So in essence, the USA has to make it to the final game to qualify with this tournament. If they don't make it to the final game, there will still be another qualifier. Oh, great drive.
And LeBron swats it away. They're going to call goaltending. So the bucket will count by Romero.
Ball was right at the apex. It's just hanging there a little bit. That's a judgment call.
Michael Redd comes off of that screen. Now 1 for 2 out of bounds. It'll be Venezuela ball. Talked about the age difference between this year's version of the USA team, Bill, and last year's. Last year, the World Championships, an extremely young team. They averaged just a little over 24 years of age. This year, they're closer to 27.
3 of the starters tonight for the United States never played a single game of college basketball. Jason Kidd played a couple of years. Carmelo Anthony played 1 year where he was able to win the championship, and Carmelo Anthony has the added advantage of having Jim Boeheim as being one of the assistants, as Salazar just beside himself.
That's Venezuela's 6th turnover of the game. And that is a big part of what the United States likes to do defensively. They'll like to play a lot of man defense, get up in you a little bit, Bill, and turn you over some, much like Mexico did in the previous game, as the former Arkansas head coach Nolan Richardson's squad from Mexico won their first game. A bit of a surprise, defeating Puerto Rico. Here's Tayshaun Prince. Prince off the mark. Stoudemire comes over the top, knocks it out of bounds. It'll be Venezuela basketball.
In talking to the coaches about Tayshaun Prince, they have just been so impressed with how hard he's working. Darren Williams now, so the 3rd point guard already. Michael Redd makes a jumper, they yank him out of it. This is like watching a college game where they're substituting on every possession, but the pace has been just vicious right now. Back to Tayshaun Prince for a second. The coaches here, and what a coaching staff it is, with Krzyzewski, D'Antoni from Phoenix, Nate McMillan from Portland, Jim Boeheim from Syracuse. Tayshaun Prince, they say, is the smartest player on the team. He's really the glue that keeps it all together, and he'll be playing a lot of 4 and 3, both forwards position, and sharing that time with Carmelo Anthony and LeBron James.
Meanwhile, Bill, Venezuela with its 7th turnover. Phillips with a nice left-handed move, and the USA leading 18-7. Phillips making his first appearance in a USA jersey. Was hoping to play last year during the World Championships, but he and his lovely wife Piper had their 3rd child. He was unable to be able to play.
They're calling a foul here? It's remarkable. Chauncey Billups can get whatever he wants.
Billups and Michael Redd were supposed to be a part of this program and the team last year, but Michael Redd, much like Billups, for personal reasons, unable to play. He and his wife sang their nuptials last summer.
If I'm a Piston fan living in Detroit, I'm a little concerned.
About what?
About all the guys they keep adding to this perennial power in the Eastern Conference. They've all been guards. The problems that the Pistons are facing are their front court players. Chris Webber at the end of the line. Is he going to be back? That looks extremely doubtful. You got Rasheed Wallace, as loose a cannon as there is on any ship. And all they do is they get the guards. They get Aflalo from UCLA in the draft. They get the Eastern Washington guy, and they lose Carlos Delfino and Jarvis Hayes, a nice player, but you better get some front court help if you're going to be playing against Kevin Garnett, the vastly improved Chicago Bulls. Shaq will be back with a vengeance this year.
Mike Miller missing from outside. Venezuela going to try and get this lead under double digits with 1:44 to go here in the first quarter. Team USA undefeated, as we mentioned a little bit earlier, in Tournament of America's play, 26-0 going back to 1992. Right now leading by 10. This is their first game. Vasquez had the ball knocked away. Vasquez, a freshman, there, number 14 for Venezuela in the red. He's a freshman at the University of Maryland.
Some very interesting interpretation of the international rules here. Last few possessions, very hard to understand the thought processes of the men with the whistles. Obviously, they have a better vantage point than we do.
Yes. There's Vasquez again.
Wild
up
shot.
A tough shot on the baseline, and Darren Williams couldn't get it back. Darren Williams has been a very solid performer during the training camp the last couple of weeks. Williams has been taken under the wing and tutelage and auspice of Jason Kidd.
Well, to learn as he did in the years gone by from John Stockton, going up there in the summertime to Spokane to learn from the master, the all-time assist leader. Now Jason Kidd has that responsibility to teach Darren, and you also got Chauncey Billups. But Chauncey's more of a scoring point guard than just a pass-first player.
Mike Miller now 0 for 2 from downtown. Mike Miller, along with Michael Redd, one of the top shooters on this team, gets the rebound here, and the United States off and running again. Billups.
Well, they're playing Chauncey Billups and Darren Williams at the same time here.
Miller, another three ball. This one falls, so he's 1 for 3 from downtown. The United States leading 21-8 with under a minute to go here in the first quarter. And FIBA rules, remember, they play 4 10-minute periods.
And on the 5th team foul per quarter, they shoot 2 free throws.
That's going to be a charging foul against Palacio. Kevin Palacio, the 6'8", 22-year-old. With 32 seconds to go, the United States with possession. Palacio's father, Armando, interestingly enough, played on the '92 Venezuela national team that played against the original Dream Team in the Tournament of Americas.
Well, there has been one other Venezuela to play in the NBA, Carlos Herrera, but he wasn't born in Venezuela. He was born in Trinidad and Tobago. Carl Herrera sadly facing some very serious tax fraud issues down in San Antonio right now, and we only hope that all works out.
The United States, after that miss from three-point territory, now 2 of 8 from downtown, and Barrios called on the walking violation.
Eight points is not going to get it done. It's as if they are waiting to fall so far behind so that the USA would get overconfident here. Billups from behind the arc can't get that one to fall as time expires in the first quarter.
The United States not shooting well from three-point territory here in the first period. The clock showing zeros, but we're going to play a little more time anyway. This isn't 1972 revisited, Bill. No controversy at the end here, okay?
I do know that you cannot shoot from out of bounds in international competition.
First quarter in the books. LeBron James in the United States leading. LeBron going 2 for 2 from the field, courtesy of some slick passing from Jason Kidd, as the United States looks to get one of the 2 spots in the upcoming Olympics. The road begins tonight in Las Vegas. At the Thomas & Mack Center in Las Vegas, Nevada, the United States leading Venezuela 21-8 as we're back for the start of the second quarter. I'm Mark Jones along with Bill Walton. The United States shooting 44% from the field, Bill, in the first quarter of play, and maybe a little bit concerning the way they shot the ball from behind the three-point line.
But with Venezuela only shooting 20% on 3 for 15 total, combined with Venezuela's 9 turnovers, resulting in this now 15-point lead with a strong throwdown in transition by LeBron.
LeBron James with a couple of easy ones already. He's got 7 points, a perfect 3 for 3 from the field. And the tip-in is good.
That ball was blocked, Mark, by Dwight Howard, who's now back in, and Carmelo Anthony just bowling his way. There's a perfect example of the opportunity to tap it back right down through. That assertive nature of how to go at the rim when the ball is just hanging around up there, when normally you're taught to wait back for it and be ever so patient.
A habit that can be a little bit difficult to break. Here's Vasquez, fouled that time by LeBron James.
LeBron's got a real challenge here. He's got some guys who are around him now for the first time really in his NBA career, some real forces. But you're playing against Venezuela. I mean, a country of 26 million people versus the United States is bordering on 300 million right now. The size of Venezuela is about the size of California and Texas combined, and that 26 million people is about the population of Southern California by itself. There's those alley-oops
underneath. Anthony
be wide open this entire tournament.
Well, Anthony having a tough time trying to finish here. Anthony last year averaged 20 points a game in the World Championships. Venezuela making a sub. Arriaga right there on your screen, going to go to the bench.
And with Carmelo now having a full season for the first time with Allen Iverson, that'll be dynamic. Can Marcus Camby continue the fine season that he had a year ago when he was the Defensive Player of the Year? Will Nene have a fully productive season? Kobe Bryant trying to go one-on-one here up against the shot clock. Can't deliver.
There's going to be a foul underneath. That's against Barrios. Alejandro Barrios, number 13 there for Venezuela. As we mentioned in FIBA basketball, the foul shots start coming after the 4th foul, a la the NBA rule book. Look at Kobe Bryant. Kobe was talking a little bit earlier about the fact that playing with the guys he's playing with, and a circus move underneath by Kobe. Wow. In playing with the guys he's playing with, Bill, he's not used to being so wide open. So he's gotten out to the gym and gotten up hundreds and hundreds of shots of the just catch and shoot variety, as opposed to, he says, when he's with the Lakers, he's having to make plays to get his shots off the dribble a lot of times.
Well, will Kobe Bryant change his game over the course of time and be that player that he said he was at the end of that scrimmage that you've referred to, where when he hit the game winner and he said, "I'm all about the team"? That caught me a little off guard, actually.
Kobe Bryant, within the span of 24 hours earlier this summer, at first wanted to be traded and then said that everything was cool and copacetic. And during this period with the United States team, he has been very reticent to talk about his status with the Lakers. Here he is penetrating and dishing to Melo for the slam.
Venezuela's falling apart here. They need a timeout desperately. Salazar not quite sure what's going on over there on that Venezuela bench. But with Carmelo Anthony exploding for 8 points now and getting to the rim with impunity, what is Venezuela, Little Venice, going to be able to do about it?
Venezuela missing arguably their best player, Oscar Torres, out with a knee injury. Howard on the foul that time as Vasquez went to the hoop.
I was stunned to find that Venezuela abolished slavery 10 years before the United States did. 1854, they got rid of that tragedy.
1854, you will dig up some pretty good stuff, Bill. That's 2 now. You got me with Little Venice, and now this one. Venezuela, like I said, they're one of the biggest oil exporters in the world, but all the money that oil brings might not help them on the basketball court here tonight.
Throughout the early part of the 20th century, Venezuela was the #1 world exporter of oil.
Who are you going to give that basket to? There were 4 sets of hands.
Split it. Just give them each 1 point.
Dwight Howard there will probably get credit for the basket. 31-11 now. The United States increasing its lead to 20 points with just under 7 minutes to go here in the first half of play.
Great step out defensively by Carmelo, and fortunately the tremendous ball movement by Venezuela. And yes, they can throw it into Lake Maracaibo.
The Felmy that time with a baseline jump shot. breaking that full court press with ease. I guess it was Dwight Howard. Beat LeBron to it.
It would have been cool, though, for LeBron to take it out of Dwight Howard's hands, because Dwight had no idea he was there. To take it out of his hands and dunk it over the top. What a poster that would make.
And Carmelo Anthony with a poster-like jump shot from outside, as he has 11 points now.
Jason Kidd, looking at the referee, says, what is a palming violation?
Well, it's interesting that Carmelo Anthony and his teammates had a couple of officials from FIBA brought in to officiate their scrimmages, Bill. And one of the major differences in speaking with the players, they find that hand checking in international basketball is pretty much the status quo, as opposed to in the NBA, where that's very much forbidden and it's called a lot.
The international game is a rougher game. It's a looser game in terms of the whistles being called. David Stern has done a fabulous job of cleaning up the over-physical nature of professional basketball that has turned some fans off.
FIBA basketball, pretty much like the NBA might have been, say, 1985, 1990.
Where it's rougher, some banging off the ball, hitting the cutters as they're coming down the lane. You're able to put your hands on the guys to keep it from going. But that brain trust right now with Boeheim on the left, Krzyzewski in the middle, who's been coaching USA teams since 1979. And then Mike D'Antoni. Oh, what a genius, Mike D'Antoni.
Vasquez with the three-pointer from the baseline. And when you watch this American team play, they will run a lot of the Phoenix Suns offensive sets, a lot of those drags and pick and rolls.
Dwight Howard's got to catch that ball.
He'll learn to be ready when Jason Kidd and these guys have it. Kobe with the finish.
But what about the pass? The show is on.
36-16. The United States out to a 20-point advantage right now as we approach 5:35 to go in the first half.
Of the four-man coaching staff for the United States, the two college coaches, Krzyzewski and Boeheim, they're in the Hall of Fame. The two pro coaches, McMillan and D'Antoni, are not.
Kobe from outside. And it's 39-16.
And the crowd just enjoying this immeasurably. The Thomas and Mack Center. And did you see the news today about AEG is going to build a new arena in Las Vegas? AEG, the #1 arena company in the world.
City of Las Vegas making its intentions known on trying to lure the NBA, as well as we're talking about that new arena housing a hockey arena. One more look at that last sequence.
Everybody involved. It's like a Globetrotters clinic in Las Vegas. I don't know if you've been to Las Vegas recently, Mark, but it looks.
We were there for the All-Star game.
It looks like Shanghai now.
Yes.
Wherever you go, there's just these 40, 50, 60-story actual cities by themselves, just going up everywhere. What a dazzling place, Las Vegas.
Was that the real Eiffel Tower that was sitting there in the desert that I saw in Las Vegas, or was that a fake?
That was
timeout on the floor. 39-18 when we come back. Back in Las Vegas, there's a look at Amari Stoudemire, and Kobe Bryant playing extremely well right now, helping to lead the United States to a 39-18 advantage right now here in the first half of play. I'm Mark Jones along with Bill Walton. Venezuela at the free throw line.
A dazzling display of all the repertoire of Kobe Bryant. Perimeter jumpers, dynamic explosiveness above the rim, the individual creativity here, now setting up Chauncey Billups, who drains that three-pointer. Notice another international rule variation from what we're used to at the NBA. In that last free throw attempt, you do not have to have offensive players line up as the rebounders. And Carmelo Anthony, actually, you watch on this trapezoidal lane where it gives the players more space to move. On rebounds for the free throws, Carmelo Anthony has been making a killing on getting offensive rebounds from the missed free throws.
He's adopted, that's for sure. Layup no good by Urbina. Coming back the other way, it's Kobe Bryant, the slimmed down version of Kobe. 18 pounds lighter from the end of the Los Angeles Lakers season. That bucket will not count. But, you know, Kobe's saying that, hey, I've always been the type of guy that has been able to eat anything I want. Hamburgers, hot dogs, pizza, junk food, tacos. He is on a very strict diet of baked chicken and fish right now. And complex carbohydrates with vegetables, and it really shows when you look at him. He's in phenomenal shape right now.
But even last year, he's always been in phenomenal shape. There's never been a knock on Kobe Bryant about not doing the work, about not being in shape. I mean, this is one of the most determined and dedicated guys in terms of getting his own game going. Amari Stoudemire gets rejected on that easy goaltending play to call.
That's his first bucket of the game. Amari Stoudemire talking about perhaps maybe next year being not only the most improved player in the NBA, but he aspires to be the Finals MVP. And Phil Weber, assistant coach with the Phoenix Suns, has been doing some good work with him this summer, and he says that the next dimension to Amari's game is going to be developing a three-point shot.
I hope
that's
not.
scary.
I hope not.
Why is that?
Get in the paint and get to work.
That's not what the international bigs play like.
Amari Stoudemire does not need a three-point shot. He needs to learn from Steve Nash and newly acquired Grant Hill how to think the game of basketball. Please.
Still very young. His career in its infancy as Romero knocks down the free throw. Hector Romero, former Conference Player of the Year when he played at New Orleans University.
One of the problems that all of the other 9 teams are going to have in this tournament with the United States is how many of their guys could actually even think of making this United States team. Michael Redd just with the easy layup. The weak side defensive rotation for Venezuela is non-existent. It seems like they're running away from the play.
Michael Redd has the bucket there, and here's Vasquez on the baseline. Venezuela struggling from outside and struggling from inside, and in fairness to them, this is a retooling year for them. Billups from the baseline off the mark. Rebounded, tipped up by Prince. On the run, and Venezuela finishing on the 3-on-2. Nice dish by Vasquez. Stoudemire fouled on his foray to the bucket.
The pace just so much in the United States' favor.
Well, folks, the WNBA playoffs get started tomorrow night at 7 o'clock Eastern on ESPN2. Eastern Conference matchup between Indiana and Connecticut. All-star Katie Douglas leading the Sun against a Fever team that held on to second seed despite playing the last third of the season without its star player Tamika Catchings.
It's going to be very exciting in this year's NBA to see if anybody can knock off the Detroit Shock. Bill Laimbeer has done a remarkable job, and I can't believe I've actually said something nice about Bill Laimbeer on television.
Not to mention assistant coach Ricky Mahorn. The two of them.
With all the broken noses and knocked out teeth that I've gotten from both of those guys.
And don't forget that during the WNBA playoffs, part of the attraction of watching the action is the wonderful access that we have with our coaches being mic'd during the game. So you catch some of the comments, and it's a good thing we're on delay. Barrios brings it up court for Venezuela.
That Phoenix Mercury team in the WNBA playoffs is going to be a real team to reckon with.
Paul Westhead has them playing high-octane offense, and what a shot by Vasquez, and gets it back off the turnover.
Careless inbound pass by the United States. Speaking of Paul Westhead, did you see where he got hired as an assistant coach for the Dallas Mavericks?
Wow. What? You talking about Westfall?
Paul Westfall, excuse me.
Different Paul.
Yes, but they both like to get it going up and down.
And they both have
Thank
Phoenix
you for
backgrounds.
correcting
yes.
Yet another one of my mistakes, Mark.
Venezuela down by 22 points, under 2.5 minutes to go here. Interestingly enough, watching Vasquez handle here for Venezuela, he had his career high against Mike Krzyzewski's Duke team earlier this year, had 18 back in February. Krzyzewski in his second year now as the head coach of this United States team, last year winning the bronze medal in the World Championships. That was Chauncey Billups' first personal foul. Billups a nice addition to this roster, Bill, in the sense that he gives the United States additional size in the backcourt and experience. Billups 30 years old.
And he also brings a remarkable level of self-motivation. The biggest problem in the last 7 years since Sydney, as the United States has yet to win anything since Sydney, is the lack of respect for the opposition. And Yeah, you can talk about point guard play, and yes, Jason Kidd and Chauncey Billups will change that. Yes, you talk about outside shooting, and Mike Miller and Michael Redd will remedy that. But you've got to be able to say, we're going to come out and play great basketball no matter what, because in these one-and-out situations, like the final medal rounds will be in the qualifying, you've got to be able to get it done on any and every particular day.
Another three-pointer good. That one by Darren Williams of the Utah Jazz, and what a breakout season he had. 51-27.
Speaking of
United States, a little bit of a zone look here.
Well, they'll change it up, and they'll play a lot of different looks, but if Venezuela keeps hitting perimeter shots like that, we won't see much more zone.
Jose Vargas with the long ball for Venezuela, bringing them to within 21 points. Vargas with 6 as we take a timeout. And Kobe's so serious about his conditioning and training, he actually brought his Pilates trainer with him to Vegas. With shots like that, he doesn't need him. Back in Las Vegas, the United States leading by 21 points with 1:40 to go in the second quarter. I'm Mark Jones along with Bill Walton. Mike Krzyzewski has some very important parts around him in Jerry Colangelo, and now they have a new scouting director, Tony Ronzone of the Detroit Pistons, who's very familiar with a lot of the international opponents that we'll be seeing from here until the time that we get to Beijing in 2008, Bill.
What a staff that Jerry Colangelo has put together. They also utilize Rudy Tomjanovich extensively. And so with everybody on the same page, and one of the great things about Mike Krzyzewski is that he demands commitment to the team. And as our world has gone in different directions and they focus on the individual and the marketing and everything, Krzyzewski is able, maybe the one guy out of the college ranks, maybe Roy Williams could get it done, Hall of Fame this year, Lute Olson also the Hall of Famer, maybe they could get it done, but it was a brilliant pick by Jerry Colangelo to go with Mike Krzyzewski.
United States leading by 21 points. Amari Stoudemire going to the free throw line. Krzyzewski's Duke team struggled this year.
I'm looking at Amari here, and we talked about the Band-Aid on the earring, or on the ear, but that haircut that he has is the exact opposite of my haircut, because mine is leaving on top and hanging a little bit on the sides, but I'm going to have to ask Amari what he calls that one.
It looks like a combo mohawk / fade. Makes 1 out of 2 free throws. Amari's,
fade?
Yeah.
You mean you walk into the barber and say, give me a fade? Is that what it's called?
Yeah. That's what they you got the high top fade, you got a normal fade, you got a ball fade, and I guess Amari's mohawk fade.
I'm going to have to start spending more time with you out there in the neighborhood.
Yeah, we'll hit the barber
shop.
Yeah, we'll go down to Overtown in Miami when we do a game there. Meanwhile, the United States 6 of 15 from beyond the three-point line, 40%. Foul called against the United States that time with 1:10 to go here in the first half of play. A first half dominated by the USA.
And again, no Venezuelans on the free throw line in the offensive rebounding position. They're just sort of wandering around out there. But to show the impact of Jason Kidd, the way he gets everyone involved. Carmelo Anthony's got 11 points. Kobe's got 7 points, as well as a game-high 5 assists. And LeBron's got 7 points of his own. And Jason Kidd or Darren Williams, Chauncey Billups, not even really looking to put it up right now in the closing moments of the first half here. Michael Redd can't find the ring.
Off the screen, off the mark. Michael Redd gets it back. He and Mike Miller on the floor at the same time. We'll see what kind of shooting numbers they can put up.
We know we'll get attempts out of Mike Miller.
Miller came in earlier. He's already 1 for 3. This time, hey, he's got a driver's license too. Missed, but Stoudemire there to have his back.
Michael Redd, Milwaukee Bucks. What's going to happen with E? I mean, this guy, the little I know about his game and has seen him play just a little bit on film, he's really got talent, but his insistence on not going to Milwaukee is really putting a lot of pressure on that franchise.
Larry Harris, the general manager, trying to work the backdoor channels with the Chinese Basketball Association to get him into Milwaukee and give it a chance. Good block underneath. And a foul going to be called. Axier Sucre couldn't get the shot off. He was met with resistance by Amari Stoudemire, out of bounds. It'll be Venezuela basketball with 12 seconds to go on the game clock.
If the United States don't get back cut here, don't get lobbed, force him to receive coming away from the basket and make a very difficult shot under duress, fading away from the rim. Oh my gosh.
Downtown, and it's good. Barrios knocks down the 3 ball at the buzzer. And it cuts the United States lead to, well, 20 points as they head into the locker room. But Jason Kidd, the catalyst, and Chauncey Billups and Michael Redd with some deft outside shooting at times as the United States leads going into the locker room despite giving up this late 3-pointer by Alejandro Barrios. But Venezuela with its work cut out. The United States with a good-looking first half. Back with more right after this.